If you're wondering how to achieve Wifey FI, this is the video that explains exactly how to do that. From how, why, how I met him, how to marry rich, to what are some things that you want to be wary of. First, let's answer the how. So my husband retired me by financially supporting both of us with his 9-to-5 income. This is a joint decision. All of our other income streams are used to support our investments, such as investing in real estate, in stocks, and in my business. Now let's talk about why. So why is my husband not retired? The main reason is he likes what he's doing. I think being in the fire space, we can be kind of living in a bubble, thinking that everyone must hate their job. But the truth is, my husband likes what he's doing and he gets satisfaction from his work. Not everyone has a strong desire to retire. So technically, both of us, we have achieved our individual FI number before we even got married and combined our finances. But my husband still wants to continue working because that's what he enjoys. And RE, or retire early, is not something that he really desires to do until much, much later. And now let's talk about why I retired and why have I decided to retire early. So technically I'm retired from corporate, but not retired altogether. That's why you're watching this video, because this is still something that I'm doing right now. And I guess some people can count it as work. So from my experience, I've actually tried full retirement for a couple short months and I absolutely hated it. I felt like every day was a blur. I felt like I had no direction, no purpose, no meaning. And that coupled with my clinical depression was just not a pretty picture. So after experiencing a couple months of full retirement, I decided that I still want to do something in my life and I still want to do things like creating videos on social media, creating content, working on my business, coaching people, things like that. And another side of it, like I kind of mentioned, is my mental health. So corporate was not good for my mental health because I am not neurotypical. I have a lot of mental illnesses that were diagnosed, like ADHD, depression, anxiety, PTSD, and they're just not good in a corporate setting because you kind of have to fit within a certain mold. And I just found it really difficult for me to fit in that. And on top of not being neurotypical, I also have the experience of getting fired from my job at literally the bottom of my mental health at the time, at least. And I just remember not wanting to ever go back to a corporate because of how betrayed and hurt I felt. And so that's also from my own personal experience why I decided to not go back to corporate, at least in the foreseeable future. And on top of that, I also have a burning desire to work on my business, and it just makes more sense for me to work on my business instead of getting a job. And so that's why I am retired from corporate. And now let's talk about why did he decide to retire me? So it wasn't a joint decision. There were a lot of back and forth because, to be honest, I was a little worried about how he might perceive me and how I might perceive myself and any judgment that we might get, which is also why it took me a while to even talk about this, because I was not fully comfortable with the joint decision. And basically, both of us think that it makes most sense for us to live off of just one income stream, which is his 9-to-5 income, and then we can free up the other income streams to reinvest into different assets, such as real estate, such as stocks, such as my business. And that's why, on paper, he is financially supporting me, even though money is money. It almost does not make sense for us to separate everything so clearly, because technically I can say I'm living off of my investments too, because I do have rent income, I do have my course income, and I technically can live off of those things too. But it's just that on paper, it does make sense for us to only live off of one 9-to-5 income, and that is his 9-to-5 income. So it does look like he is retiring me. And now the question is, how did I meet him? And this is a question that I get a lot. I met him through work. So we were coworkers at one point and we were just eating lunch, and I heard I think he was just sitting beside me or something. I heard someone speak Cantonese, and I'm half Cantonese, but I don't meet a lot of Cantonese people around West LA. So I was really surprised that someone spoke Cantonese, and that's how we started talking, and that's how we developed a friendship. And right now we're really good friends. And the next question is marrying rich, how to marry rich. And I feel like this is something that a lot of people are curious about, but not a lot of people are bold enough to ask this question. So let me just answer it, because I was once curious too. And I've actually, seen a lot of social media content. I've seen a lot of videos that talk about how to marry rich, and they're always focusing on, the way you dress, the way you do your hair, your etiquette, how feminine are you, the way you do your makeup. And in my opinion, none of these matter as much as what is your circle? What is your social circle? Where do you belong socially, right? Like, what are some people you hang out with? In my opinion, to marry rich, you first have to be in rich circles. And this means you have to level up yourself. And by leveling up, I don't mean you have to dress nicer or, look rich or behave elegantly. No, that's not what I mean. I mean, you have to get into better circles by maybe upgrading your skill set, by, getting into a good school, then getting a good job. Then, from that good job, you get into better circles, which is the route I took. Or, of course, you can start your own business and then, become successful in your business, then meet, other successful business owners. This is another route. So there are a lot of routes to actually level up, but I do think just focusing on your exterior, focusing on, your looks or your makeup or your hair, like that's not the most efficient way to do things. Those things do help, but I don't think, someone who like all she has is like pretty, all she does is look pretty, like she's gonna end up with a rich husband who actually respects her. Like I think that is very, very rare, and I am personally not a fan of that route. And now let's talk about what to watch out for, because, being retired by your husband, like it sounds good, but there are some things that you need to be wary of. First of all, it like doesn't matter how much he provides for you or whether he even provides for you financially. The bottom line is, does he respect you? I have personally been with people who did not financially provide for me, but they just also don't respect me at the same time. And they would, bash me all the time based on, what job I had at a time, which I think it was Big Four accounting. They would bash my Big Four accounting job. They would bash my education. They would bash my income. And they would say things like, oh, you think you're so great? Like, why are you so arrogant? Like working your fancy job, even though like I wasn't arrogant, I was just doing my job. And it was just a very toxic environment where I felt like I couldn't be myself. And I felt like my income, my career, they were all like somehow sinful for me to have those. And it was a threat to my ex's like manhood and ego. So the bottom line is, like, doesn't matter what the financial situation setup is, like nothing should be an excuse for him to disrespect you. That's a bottom line. Like respect is the bottom line. So make sure that he fully respects you, no matter how much you make or how much he makes or how much, both of you have in terms of assets or in terms of your family background. Just make sure that there's mutual respect and also mutual agreement. If a man does not believe in financially supporting his women, and that is something that you deeply desire and you require, then it's better off finding a different man than to change his current man. Resentment will always develop if he feels like you're making him do something he doesn't want, or if you're forcing him to change. I mean, just reverse it. Like even if you feel like someone is trying to change you and make you change and forcing you to do something that you don't want to, you'd probably feel resentment too. So same thing in a relationship. If that man, like one of his core values is like totally independent, I want my woman to provide for herself, and that's not what you believe in, then go find a different man. Like it's oftentimes way better for you to start a new relationship than for you to change someone. Like changing a person is literally one of the hardest things in life, and it's like not worth it in my opinion. And also make sure you can stand on your own. So I'm not telling you to be ultra independent, splitting everything 50-50 down in the middle and separating your finances and never combining your finances. That is not what I'm talking about. And I personally actually combine my finances with my husband. So that is definitely not what I'm preaching. But what I'm saying is that you want to make sure that you have the ability to provide for yourself if you need to. And you should also have your own savings as just a safety thing, as your backbone. Even if you decide to never go back into corporate like me, you can still have income streams and you can still have assets and you can still have your own savings. So don't expect him to be the sole provider for everything. Have your own supplies and resources, your own network and skills. He is not your savior. You don't need to be saved. Together, you guys enhance each other, and it is not a codependent relationship. So far we've covered the commonly asked questions about Wifey FI. Are you ready to kickstart your FIRE journey? I'm opening a couple spots for one-on-one calls. Simply DM me the word power coaching on IG at cherrytown.co to see if there are any more spots available. I'm also going to link my next video up here, but don't click on it yet. Make sure you subscribe to my channel for more FIRE content.